Welcome to the closing session of JA Ethics Virtual. We are going to be using a paper airplane for a final object illustration. We are going to start with the object illustration and then have a final closing video to close out this course. As you think about ethics, remember, life is about choices. Every choice you make while you are young helps to shape your future. So imagine that building your future is like making a paper airplane. Think and plan carefully, make good ethical choices, and your airplane is going to soar. But if you don't do your best, if you make poor choices, the airplane likely won't fly so well. It might not go where you want or as high as you hope. In our object illustration, we are using a paper airplane to think about ethics. So each crease of the airplane is like verbalizing something, hitting send on a text message, posting on social media. Once the action happens, whether it's good or bad, it will either cause you to soar or to fly off course. So let's try it. Choose 2 students to go to the front of the room to fold paper airplanes. You can just use whatever paper you can find. It can be a scratch piece of paper or something from the recycle bin. So pause this video to allow the students a few minutes to find some paper, make an airplane, and to throw those planes. Ask the class to give the flights a thumbs up or thumbs down. When you have that much accomplished, press play and we'll continue our discussion. So how did it go? Did you get a thumbs up? If so, that would represent a great flight. And in our object illustration, those folds of the paper that caused a good flight represents the choices that we make each day. So pause this video for a moment and discuss as a class, what are some good ethical choices that you can make today that will help you build a healthy future? What about a poor flight? Did anybody get a thumbs down? Maybe your plane took a nosedive or a boomerang back at you. You really have to ask yourself, what's next? If you make a poor choice or you make a mistake, are you just going to give up or are you going to learn from that experience and try again? If you have made a poor choice, think about what might you do to make things right? How can you get back on course? Pause this video and talk a little bit as a class of what you can do if you have made a mistake or a poor choice and what you can do to get back on track. As we wrap up this object illustration, I want you to remember, in aviation, if you have a rough takeoff, it doesn't mean you have to have a rough landing. Likewise, if you make a mistake or a poor choice, there are always things that you can do to try to make it right. Sometimes when you have a choice to make, it might be beneficial to talk with others first. For one final time, pause this video to discuss as a class where you might go to get good advice. Be sure to watch your time and reserve 3 minutes to watch a short closing video from the Vanguard Squadron Airshow team.
I fly right wing of the Vanguard Squadron Airshow team, and I just want to mention making a paper airplane. Making a paper airplane, a good airplane, is like preparing for the future. Getting good grades, staying in school, do the ethical things, even when nobody's looking. So if you do these things, prepare for your future, and you should make a good, or should be able to make a good paper airplane. Hi, I'm Gary. I'm with the Vanguard Squadron Airshow team. I fly as number 4, the slot position back in the back of the formation. And ethics is a vital part of every aspect of the aviation industry. And it's because people's lives depend on it. Every time you go fly, you're putting people's lives at risk. So a good example of that would be a story I heard a few years ago. I fly in the summers as an aerial firefighter, a tanker plane pilot, so I drop retard to put out wildfires.
And there's also a lot of helicopters that do that same job, and they carry the ground firefighters, the guys with the axes, up into the mountains to fight the fires. And there was a situation where a mechanic for a helicopter just pencil whipped the maintenance information for the helicopter. He didn't actually do all the inspections. He didn't weigh the helicopter. He just wrote the number down for how much the helicopter used to weigh. And so when the pilot made his calculations to figure out how much of a load he could carry on that helicopter, he inadvertently overloaded the helicopter because the mechanic hadn't put down how much the helicopter actually weighed. He had underreported the weight of the helicopter. So then when the pilot had his load full of firefighters and equipment, they took off and he couldn't get airborne and he ended up crashing, and a lot of people lost their lives. And the same thing can happen with pilots. If the pilot pencil whips his currencies, or he over-reports how many hours and experience he actually has, then he can go up, take off in an airplane that he's really not that currently qualified in, and cause an accident and get a lot of people killed. So ethics is a critically important part of the aviation industry, and it keeps us all safe. That's why it's much safer to fly in an airline than it is to drive on the highway, because airline pilots and mechanics are very highly trained, and the industry as a whole really emphasizes safety and ethics in their work.
Well, JA would like to send a special thank you to the Vanguard Squadron Airshow team for putting that video together for this program. We want to just thank you for participating in JA Ethics. I hope that you've been able to see the impact that people's ethical decisions have on both themselves as well as the people around them. I also hope that you've had a chance to reflect on your own core values and ethical decision making, and that you've had an enjoyable time while doing so. Thanks so much for participating.